as accessible as humanly possible. As a matter of fact, this system was originally so advanced that after Alexander the Great had brought it to India, the Brahmins in India decided to keep it to themselves.
And the Brahmins are the ruling class of India.
That's right. And they realized how advanced the 27 were compared to the 12, so they hid the system. And this system has pretty much been hidden for the last 2,000 years, and I'm definitely going to end up breaking the system open because the information in these 27 far supersedes anything we've seen in the 12, no doubt about it.
How does it feel to be the person who's breaking this open?
Well, it just seems to be destiny. You know, if I was to look at my own specific horoscope, my own birth chart, this is just the way it's meant to evolve. You know, I mean, I've had the most fortunate job being an astrologer. I've never had to do another job in my life. Right when I got out of high school, now I didn't really want to be an astrologer, although I was fascinated and I learned it inside and out. I could give readings when I was in high school. Right when I got out of high school, there were a lot of options that came in my life, schooling, where I was going to go next, so forth. But my job as an astrologer had already taken off. And
so as a teenager, you were actually doing astrological readings for people?
I've never had another job in my life. I worked at a bookstore once at the age of 19 giving readings, you know, and this has just been the job that has been persistent. And at the beginning, it wanted me more than I wanted it. But as time unfolds, I couldn't have manifested a better job for myself. I absolutely love being an astrologer.
Tell me a little bit about your time in India and how that has prepared you for this.
Well, oddly enough, it was in India that I had learned that Alexander the Great was responsible for astrology as they knew it in India. It's quite interesting, but India changed everything.
Well, you had a guru. You had someone, I mean, I've always been curious, like just watching the Beatles footage with their gurus. I mean, how do you get an audience? Do you send a headshot and a resume to a guru? How do you get in front of one?
They spiritually pick you far before you're even aware of it.
Oh, that's a cool
And I mean, that's I ended up arriving right to this person's doorstep, literally, not knowing I was getting ready to walk into the home of a guru, and a relatively well-known guru. And that was the beginning. I had two separate experiences. I also spent time with a tribe in Khajuraho, India, a mother-based tribe, and they worship the goddess Kali, and that's where my path began, really. My guru in Meherbad was a very different thing. He was basically just this liberating force that had nothing to do other than wipe out your karma. It's kind of hard to explain all this. But the tribe in India was very ritualistic. You know, is where I really spent a lot of time in meditation and practice and so forth.
Did you think looking back on it, was it really important for you to wipe out your karma? You know, and I guess, tell me if I'm wrong, my definition of wiping out your karma is dealing with whatever demons you have from this life or another life and sort of cleaning the slate to let your true energy and essence come through? Is that sort of?
It's a mixed bag when you're with someone that is actively wiping out your impressions or your karma, because halfway in it, I was like, what in the hell have I gotten into?
Yeah,
because I was watching in my early 20s, my life changed so dramatically. Who I thought I wasn't, and I was evolving at a rate that was very uncomfortable. And there was a lot of shedding that was going off one level after the other, and any true yogi would understand that. The spiritual path is not a joke, and it's about the devouring of the false self so the divine can be realized. And there were several moments in my 20s where I was, what in the hell have I gotten into?
I bet there
because I was changing and I could feel it.
What are a couple things that I could do to devour my false self?
Consciousness, you know, honestly, consciousness does that, just simply being aware. And this is going right back into the world of astrology. My favorite thing about astrology is it aligns you with that which is the most natural for you, irrespective of good or bad, right or wrong. It's just about what you are. And I think when you align with your higher self, you automatically invite that force in that's going to wipe out your karma. You know, and when you are natural, whether you're a yogi in India meditating in a cave, or you're Michael Jordan, when you hit that place where you are the most natural with yourself, you automatically invite that force in to start removing the false self. It's a lot of work, though. It's a
lot of work, and you know, a lot of people know me as a concert pianist, and I can tell you when I'm playing Bach or when I'm really in the zone and playing, then I do feel my highest self, you know, sort of traveling through me. But there's always the essence of love. I mean, I always have to feel some sort of joy or love in order to feel totally connected to my higher self. So what is love in terms of astrology?
What is love and I'm going to go right back to, it's a great question. I'm going to go right back to what I just said. Love is the natural self. It is the core of the self. And I personally, I've always connected spirituality and creativity together, because really speaking, whether, you know, in India, meditating, the job of meditation is to take you out of yourself and put you into a more of a divine state, which is exactly what music does.
Right.
When you are truly in flow, you are in a meditation. So when you're playing piano, you are meditating and allowing that higher force to come through you and help you manifest who you are.
I've always felt that, and what's interesting is that whether I'm playing the piano by myself or whether I'm doing it in front of an audience or on camera, it's pretty much the same deal. It's almost like a channeling of some sort where music kind of plays me. It's like music finding a way to exist as a language here in this physical plane, and it's very heightening in the vibration of me and I guess everything around me. And I don't really feel that I'm part of it. I always feel like I'm just sort of a conduit for it. But you were a musician.
Yes.
You were a headbanger? What did you do?
I was in a relatively well-known rock band called Kill the Gods.
Kill the Gods, well, that's perfect.
And
that's
well,
great.
the Kill the Gods was a reference to destroying false idols like money and things that had control over your life. And now, at the very beginning, I did not want to be an astrologer, although, I mean, that's where I was making a living. I wanted to, you know, I wanted to do what I was doing. And I joined a band right out of high school that was already on tour. We were a very successful band. But it was midway through that I had lost total interest in it. And there were a series of things that had taken place in my life that ended up leading me to India and leaving music in that way entirely.
Like what?
Well, I ended up getting sick.
Right.
You know, I had several things going on that I don't want to get into all of them now, because there was extensive one thing after the other, which I really feel it was the universe telling me that I was totally out of alignment, that this other path, the spiritual path, was what I was about. You know, I developed all kinds of autoimmune deficiencies. I ended up with a heart issue, all these various things that led me to India. And it was midway through. I'll never forget. I was playing on Sunset Strip at a club called the Coconut Teaser, and we were just in this place of really advancing and evolving. And I realized then my passion was totally gone for this. It was totally gone, and it was at a time where my band was peaking. It was a very hard time to leave music because we were at a very pivotal stage of getting a bigger record deal and all these various things. But my heart wasn't there. I couldn't stop thinking of India.
Where's your heart now in regards to music?
I do chanting CDs still.
Okay.
I love music. You know, I love all types of music, but I actually create music, which is really core to who I am.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Jade did a reading for me, and I'm wondering if you could share with us some of the things that we discovered during this reading.
Well, in the 27 palaces that I used, he was Proserpina.
Proserpina.
Which is based upon the Greek goddess of the underworld and spring both, Persephone.
Okay.
And no, it's a very interesting sign. It's the first few degrees inside the constellation Leo. It's the very beginning of Leo. So in my system, which when a client comes into me, I go by the moon above the sun.
Okay.
Now, the books and all the stuff that I'm going to be releasing in the future has to be solar-based. But your moon was in Proserpina, which is actually a sign of talent.
Oh, and
nice. It's a very intellectual sign too, because it's the head of the constellation Leo, so we call it the wisdom of the lion.
Wow.
And hence, yeah, the second I realize someone's palace, it helps me understand the whole nature of that person.
I think that's fascinating, and I guess it would just be as simple as the 12-sign zodiac of 27, when as long as we had a guide that helped us look on a very rudimentary level, you know. What would you have to say about the controversies that are up there now? What would you want to tell people as far as their expectations are concerned? You know, I think it's very exciting. Like, I'm thinking of the number 27 right now, and I had a really good time when I was 27 years old. I'm trying to configure the number 27 in a way that's kind of fun. And what would you tell people right now, just in regards to the changes that are taking place, especially people who really live by the zodiac and really are invested into the science of astrology?
This is a major